Good day everyone, I am Jerry Ann Rose D. Pineda, and together with my fellow presenters, we would like to thank you all for your time. By the way, we are students from BSFT 2A, and today we were going to discuss our topic of some information you need to know about justice. Here's the table of contents. First, history of justice. Second, or important aspect of justice. And lastly, similarities and differences of law and justice. History of justice. The idea of justice, which is all about fairness and balance. In simple terms, justice means treating everyone equally, being fair, and ensuring that things are done correctly. It is also involves preventing harm to others and correcting mistakes when they occur. For example, imagine a teacher who gives the same amount of homework to all students in the classroom. This is an example of justice because each student is being treated fairly and equally. If a student accidentally spills paint on the classroom floor, justice would involve the student taking responsibility for the mistake and helping to clean it up. Overall, justice is about ensuring that everyone is treated fairly, no one is harmed, and mistakes are corrected. It is an important concept in society to maintain order and fairness. Justice is like a referee in a game, making sure that everyone plays by the rules and that there are consequences for those who don't. The concept of justice is all about doing what is morally right and giving everyone what they deserve. The word justice comes from the Latin word jus, which means right or law. In simple terms, being just means being fair and doing the right thing. This idea of justice has been around for a long time and has its roots in ancient Greek language. In Greek, the word dike means staying in your proper place or role. For example, imagine a classroom where everyone follows the rules and respect each other's space and belongings. This is an example of justice in action, as everyone is doing their part to maintain order and harmony. Plato, a famous Greek philosopher, was believed that justice is about upholding the order of society by everyone fulfilling their expected roles. Aristotle, another Greek philosopher, also talked about different types of justice such as what is honorable in certain situations. So in essence, justice is about fairness, doing what is right, and making sure everyone gets what they deserve. It's a fundamental concept in moral and political discussions that has been around for centuries. The next presenter will discuss the perspective of Plato and Aristotle about justice in more informative way.
Plato. Plato's theory of justice emphasizes the importance of ethical principles and moral values in establishing a just society. He argues that a just society should be organized based on specialization and division of labor, with each individual performing the role best suited to their abilities. Plato also emphasized the common good over individual interests, promoting the welfare of the entire community. He advocates of equality, the distribution of resources and opportunities, ensuring fairness and equal treatment of all members. Aristotle. Distributive justice, corrective justice, and legal justice are the three concepts that Aristotle used to describe his comprehensive conception of justice. The equitable allocation of resources and advantages within a community is referred to as distributive justice. It entails awarding people that they are due in accordance with their contribution and merits. According to Aristotle, conversely, the goal of corrective justice is to make amends for wrong and bring about a return to equilibrium. It centers on the notion of proportionality, which holds the severity of punishment ought to correspond to the offense committed. A society governing laws and legal system are relevant to legal justice. According to Aristotle, a reasonable legal system ought to advance the common welfare and be grounded in reason.
Justice and individual gains. In contrast, where people's interests converge and decision to be taken is the best way to pursue some common purpose. Think of a government official having to decide how much food to stockpile as insurance against some future emergency. Justice gives way to other values. In other cases, there may be no reason to appeal to justice because resources are so plentiful that we don't need to worry about allotting shares to individuals. Jung pointed out that in a hypothetical state of abundance where every individual finds himself fully provided with whatever his most voracious appetites can want, a cautious, jealous virtue of justice will never once have been dreamed of. This is based on Hume's an inquiry concerning the principles of morals. Hume also believed, and philosophical controversy on this point persists until today, that justice has no place in close personal relationships, such as the family, where it allegedly each identifies with the other's interests so strongly that there is no need and no reason for everyone to make claims of personal entitlement. That justice is a matter of how each separate person is treated appears to create problems for theories such as utilitarianism that judge action and policies on the basis of their overall consequences, aggregated across people. Assuming that these theories wish to incorporate rather than discard the idea of justice. Although justice is centrally a matter of how individuals are treated, it's also possible to speak of justice for a group. For example, when the state is allocating resources between different categories of citizens, here each group is being treated as though it were a separate individual for purpose of the allocation. Justice, charity, and enforceable obligation. There are some claims of justice that seems not to be enforceable by anyone. When we dispense gifts to our children or our friends, we ought to treat each other recipient fairly, but neither the beneficiaries themselves nor anyone else can rightfully force the giver to do so. On the other hand, in cases of extreme emergency, it may sometimes be justifiable to force people to do more than justice requires them to do. There may exist enforceable duties of humanity, but these are rare exceptions. The obligatory nature of justice generally goes hand in hand with enforceability.
Justice and impartiality. Justice and impartiality in diverse societies and cultures are complex due to cultural relativism, bias, prejudice, corruption, inequality, legal complexity, and cross-cultural challenges. These factors can undermine impartiality, undermine trust, and hinder access to justice. Balancing individual rights with collective interests is crucial for advancing fair societies.
Justice and agency. Justice requires agency to be the object. Agency will be individual, groups, or institutions that help to fight their rights. Agents can also create injustice by omission, such as failing to create institutions or enact policies. The systematic injustice occurs when bad outcomes occur without intent but could be prevented by a shift in social norms or practices. Justice requires an agent whose will alters the circumstances of its object, such as individual, groups, or institutions like the state. Unjust state of affairs cannot describe as unjust unless a divine being ordered the universe. We may judge cosmic injustice, but this is a temptation to resist. Example, it is not unjust, through it undoubtedly or regrettable, that some of children are born with a cleft lip, but it may well be unjust once remedial surgery becomes feasible to deny these children whose lives would otherwise be lighted by the condition. Next is the similarities and differences of law and justice. First, we should know what is law. Law are rules and guidelines established by the government and its entities varying across countries. Laws are created through a complex process and implemented by the government entities, influences by lawyers and judges. The judiciary system can interpret and enforce laws in different situations. They regulate citizens or individuals under government jurisdiction. Laws are created through a complex process. It can vary from country to country, and the process with which they are created can change as well. Laws are adopted following long debate and an even longer process of checks and balances. To fight the right of the victims, law is used against the suspect. This law is implemented by government for different crimes and for rights. Example of law is those articles that used in the Supreme Court to fight the rights of each individual. This law is used by the victims by the help of lawyers and judges. By using this law, will help individuals to get the justice they want.
So what is justice? Justice is a broad concept. Justice is based on equality of rights, fairness, kindness, dignity, morality, and ethics. A just world avoids discrimination, poverty, slavery, and injustices. All laws should be based on justice, and governments should enforce national laws in a just and equal way. Justice supersedes national legislation and applies to all individuals without discrimination or limitations. In its broadest definition, justice is the idea that everyone should be treated fairly and equally. People who obtain what they deserve are living in a society where justice has been served. In my own opinion, justice is the act of granting each person their freedom by the application of appropriate laws and regulations, as well as the advancement of equality. It seeks to fairly grant each individual and society equal rights, opportunities, and resources. So these are the similarities and differences of law and justice. The similarities of law and justice are regulating human behavior for a just and equal environment based on justice, morality, equality, order, and fairness, and it should be implemented without discrimination. A few of the key parallels between the two are as follows. Law ought to be founded on the concept of justice and ought to be applied and understood in a just way, devoid of discrimination. Both ideas govern conduct and seek to create a more just and equitable environment. So this is the differences of the two. The term law refers to existing written regulations created by the government to regulate citizens' actions. Justice is not a universally recognized concept and is subject to interpretation. It is often depicted as a woman representing equality and fairness, but there is no common understanding or unique text. Law can vary across countries with moral values and ethics often superseding geographical divisions. The concept of law and justice are related but distinct. Although they relate to two distinct concepts, justice and law are frequently used synonymously. Law is a set of rules, guidelines, values, and customs established by the nation's government to control individual lives and behaviors. Written codes contain law, which are upheld by the government in its agencies, such as police, courts, and security forces. On the other hand, justice is more ethereal term founded on the notions of fairness and equality of rights. Justice should be the foundation of all laws, and they should be applied and upheld in a fair manner without regard to a person's gender, age, race, color, religion, language, or any other factors. Okay guys, this is the end of our presentation, and I hope you learn a lot from us. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Bye!